In the video, a man is standing at the edge of a cliff, carefully using a rope to guide an excavator into position. Once he adjusts the angle, he lets go of the rope and the excavator crashes down the cliff. The man is the excavator driver. After months of unsuccessful attempts to get paid, he chose this extreme method to demand payment. The video's comment section exploded, with viewers calling it the consequence of unpaid wages and well done. However, the reality is harsh. An excavator costs at least 500,000 to 600,000 yuan and is now completely wrecked. The driver not only hasn't received any pay, but could face charges for intentionally damaging property and, quote, demanding wages maliciously, which could lead to hefty compensation costs. In the end, it's still workers who suffer the most. Another driver, calmer than the first, didn't push the machine off the cliff. Instead, he drove it to the edge and sent a video to his boss.
半年的工资没得了。
6 months of wages gone. I asked the boss, and he said there was no money. I said fine, and I sent him a video. If the money isn't in the account by 9 a.m., the excavator is going down. See that rock? And that switch? When I flip it, the machine will move and go straight down. I don't know what's going on. I don't even want the wages anymore. As the year ends, a wave of wage disputes sweeps across China. These workers, often referred to as human minds by Chinese commentators, have built the country's high-rise buildings, bridges, and roads with their sweat and blood, but they are often denied proper compensation. To recover their hard-earned money, some resort to extreme actions, hanging banners, blocking construction gates, and even climbing cranes to threaten their employers. Recently, an even more extreme form of mutually destructive wage demands has emerged, destroying equipment, burning materials, or even wrecking entire projects. No pay for work? Smash the glass. Go ahead, smash it all. Greedy bosses don't pay. Several workers who had not been paid for their work picked up sledgehammers and destroyed the project they had completed. In less than 2 minutes, a renovation project worth hundreds of thousands of yuan was reduced to rubble by their own hands.
我现在在放水。
I'm draining the water now. If the money isn't here before it's done, I'm taking apart the water tank. I don't care anymore. The water's almost done. Just half an hour left. If I'm doing it, I'll do it thoroughly. Make sure it's really wrecked. Another worker, frustrated by unpaid wages, threatened to demolish a water tank. In a video, an excavator's massive bucket grips a white sedan like an iron claw. The driver threatens.
不给钱，不给钱，都是弄这些事。
No pay? You want this? Don't pay? And this is what happens. If you don't pay, this is what you get. A commenter laments, another worker pushed to the brink. These extreme actions over unpaid wages may be classified as malicious wage demands under Chinese law, with legal consequences. The term malicious wage demands was first proposed by Li Baozong, a Chinese National People's Congress representative, during the 2020 National People's Congress.
明确恶意讨薪的法律界定。
I suggest we clearly define malicious wage demands in the law and add those people to a blacklist in the social credit system. After all, there are many migrant workers, and people see them as a vulnerable group, which encourages this kind of behavior. At the time, Li Baozong was a chairman of Hebei Construction Group, also holding several other leadership roles in construction associations. He submitted the proposal as a representative, suggesting that malicious wage demands should be added to the blacklist of the personal credit system to prevent migrant workers from disrupting social order with extreme methods. Ironically, Hebei Construction Group itself has been repeatedly exposed for unpaid wages to migrant workers. By the end of 2024, it had been involved in over 5,600 legal cases, including more than 30 related to unpaid wages. On December 8, 2024, Li Baozong was also listed by Tianjin's Jinan District People's Court as a person with unfulfilled obligations, with a total amount exceeding 3.5 million yuan. This so-called representative, who suggests blacklisting those demanding wages, is now in debt himself, prompting online revelations that his proposal may have been aimed at protecting his own company's unpaid wage practices. Although malicious wage demands has not been formally legislated, the term has quickly been adopted by local governments, media, and the judiciary. For example, in 2021, a construction worker in Gansu Huzhou City was detained for climbing a crane to demand unpaid wages with the local authorities officially labeling the incident as malicious wage demands. This led to public backlash and an apology. Since then, malicious wage demands has become a standard label used to address extreme wage dispute cases, often linked to charges like provoking trouble or endangering public safety by dangerous means. The proposal sparked widespread controversy and continues to be heavily criticized online. Many believe that the proposal has provided legal protection for companies' wage theft practices, emboldened them to delay or withhold wages from migrant workers without fear of legal repercussions.
恶意讨薪这个词儿就是甲方的亲爹编的。
The term malicious wage demands was invented by the contractor's owners, putting the innocent migrant workers on trial while those who should be held accountable get away unpunished. These three words don't just label people, they trample on workers' dignity and challenge basic decency. Migrant workers have no choice in the construction industry. They work hard all year to support their families. Meanwhile, those unscrupulous contractors live in mansions, drive luxury cars, and travel during holidays. Everything they have is bought with workers' sweat. But when the workers finish their job, they don't get paid, and all they're left with is their ID. They have no choice but to demand their rightful wages in the most direct way, only to be labeled as malicious. This is truly a case of the wrong people calling the shots. So, I'll ask again, who is truly malicious here? The workers asking for their wages or those refusing to pay them?
我们不想堵大门。
We don't want to block gates, we don't want to climb cranes, and we don't want to hang banners. We don't want to break the law, but if we don't, who will help us?
拉横幅犯法。
Blocking gates is illegal, hanging banners is illegal, climbing cranes is illegal, and hitting people is illegal. Yet when payments are overdue for years, no one calls that illegal. I'll ask again, doesn't breaking the law even mean anything now? Doesn't breaking the law solve the problem?
把过激讨薪的工人抓起来可以。
It's fine to arrest workers who demand their wages aggressively, but shouldn't the contractors who withhold wages be arrested too? Without unpaid wages, there will be no demand for payment. The struggles of migrant workers for their rights is difficult to understand unless you've experienced it. If communication could solve this, no one would resort to illegal actions. The wages of migrant workers are tied to their children's school fees, their elderly parents' medical bills, and their own daily living expenses. You tell them to be patient, but will hospitals wait? Will schools wait? Will grocery stores wait? The solution to unpaid wages is simple: severe punishment for the companies that refuse to pay. As 2025 comes to a close, I hope the relevant authorities will take a real interest in the migrant workers who have worked so hard this year. They are the true foundation of the construction industry.
整天代表，你凭什么代表我们？
You keep saying represent, but who are you to represent us? Today, I'm making it clear with this video, you don't represent me, and I don't need you to. The only person who can represent me is my grandson.
谁再敢代表我，先问过我同意没？
Who dares to represent me? Ask me first. There are always people who love speaking for others, acting as spokespeople. Today, I'm making it clear. I've never given anyone my consent, and no one has ever asked me if I agree. So, please stop counting me in and making decisions on my behalf. From now on, I will only represent myself. I don't need anyone else to do it, especially people who don't even know me. As a matter of fact, all they could do is vent online, not much else. In the logic of the Chinese Communist Party's governance, people's representatives do not actually represent the people. These representatives are not elected by the public. Instead, they are carefully selected and appointed by the system, chosen for their loyalty. This is often referred to as political arrangement, but in simple terms, they are appointed spokespeople. Elections are not part of the process. There's no consultation with the public. The role can be summarized in just one word: protectors. They protect the functions of the system and the appearance of leadership, while the concerns of ordinary citizens, such as unpaid wages, are not their focus. Every year, Chinese authorities make a show of condemning the practice of withholding wages from migrant workers, but many workers still find themselves unable to collect their wages before returning home for the new year. Regulations are issued annually to ensure the construction projects pay on time, but many contractors still struggle to receive payments and hesitate to return home. This year, the situation has worsened.
多少包工头已经做好了在牢里过年的准备。
Many contractors have already prepared for spending the new year in prison. This is not an exaggeration. It's a harsh reality that may unfold as the year comes to a close.
现在已经不是要工程款了，是抢工程款。
It's no longer about getting paid, it's about fighting for the payment. Do you guys feel it? This year, construction sites are rushing for payment earlier than ever. In previous years, you'd only see contractors blocking gates and offices, setting up makeshift beds in the client's conference rooms during the last month of the year. Now, similar scenes are happening much earlier. Even those with connections to state-owned companies can't take it anymore. They've started taking action. After working for a year, 2 or 3, they realize that the more they cooperate, the more they lose. So, they're just going for it, sending letters, demanding compensation, and being ready to cut ties. Everyone knows the situation now. The client's account only has so much money. Whoever grabs it first gets it. If you hesitate, you might end up with nothing. Even state-owned enterprises like China Railway No. 2 Bureau are becoming involved in wage disputes. China Railway No. 2 Bureau owes migrant workers wages. They've been working for months and still haven't been paid. This is China Railway No. 2 Bureau. Unpaid wages are a significant issue in the construction and engineering industries, which have historically relied on the real estate market for funding. This sector has been a key contributor to China's economy, accounting for up to 30% of GDP. It has supported local governments, developers, construction companies, and countless migrant workers. Through systems like land sales and pre-sale schemes, local governments sell land at low prices to developers, who use pre-sale funds to finance new projects, creating a cycle of high leverage. However, this system was not sustainable. In August 2020, the government introduced the 3 red lines policy, which strictly limited developers' debt levels and cash flow, cutting off access to bank financing. While the authorities stated the policy aimed to control housing prices and prevent systemic risks, the results were disastrous. Developers' cash flow collapsed, leading to the failure of major companies like Evergrande, which was burdened by $300 billion in debt. This set off a chain reaction, leaving thousands of projects unfinished, with abandoned buildings becoming a symbol of the crisis. These unfinished projects became a burden not just for homebuyers, but for workers whose wages went unpaid. Local governments also faced severe consequences. With the loss of land sale revenues, many were unable to fund essential services, such as public transportation or the salaries of public employees and teachers. This has made it difficult for them to ensure that companies pay their workers. The situation this year has become even more difficult. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, the total area of construction for real estate developers fell to 6.5 billion square meters, a 9.2% decline compared to the previous year. The area of newly started projects dropped by 19.8%, reflecting a sharp decline from the 2021 peak of 15.7 billion square meters. New construction projects have faced even steeper declines. In 2018, the area of newly started projects reached a historic high of 5.6 billion square meters. Since then, it has steadily decreased, falling to 3.3 billion square meters in 2024 and just 1.3 billion square meters in the first half of this year. This year's total new project area is expected to be about 2.4 billion square meters, a 57% drop from the peak level. Behind these numbers are stalled construction sites, rising unemployment among construction workers, and a surge in unpaid wage cases. It's clear that the real estate sector, after the collapse of its bubble, is now undergoing a significant decline. Private developers have almost all failed, and state-owned enterprises are struggling to survive through bank loans and government subsidies. Infrastructure projects have also been affected. While some railway and water projects continue with support from central government loans or policy banks, many others, including road projects and those depending on local finances, have disappeared. Without land sales, there is no funding left for new investments. The construction industry, once a pillar of China's economy, is shrinking, signaling a collapse in fixed asset investment and directly affecting the country's economic growth. A significant number of construction workers are now unemployed. According to China's National Bureau of Statistics, the number of migrant workers in the construction industry has fallen from a peak of 69.9 million in 2015 to 42.9 million in 2024, a decrease of 30.7%. This doesn't include management staff, but the reduction is similar. At least 30% of management positions have been cut. At a labor market in Wuhan at 3 in the morning, before dawn, the street lights illuminate a crowd of people. Dozens of middle-aged men wearing safety helmets and old cotton coats stand or crouch silently, smoking the cheapest cigarettes. They are waiting for a chance to be selected.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
So, everyone was here at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, you've got to get out early. If you don't, by the time you get to the site, it's already daylight. Who's going to want you then?
How much do you make in a day?
Wages are really low now, not much, around 200 yuan. Some people even return home without any pay at all every day. I'm really worried. I can't even find work. There's nothing. I haven't worked for a few days now.
Do you have a place to stay?
Yeah, I rent a place. At least 300 yuan a month. The footage also shows roadside vendors selling breakfast. Many workers take the opportunity to eat a hot bowl of porridge while they wait. At 4 o'clock, the contractor's van arrives, and workers are selected one by one, like livestock. Those chosen to get in, and those left behind must return the next day. These workers are casual laborers, paid daily. Though the pay is low, it's more stable than long-term construction jobs. At least they are paid on the day without worrying about their bosses disappearing, abandoned projects, or unpaid wages at the end of the year. If the real estate market has broken China's economic backbone, the Communist Party's crackdown on the private sector has pierced its heart. Private companies contribute over 80% of urban employment and are the most vital source of economic activity. However, since 2020, a campaign to, quote, prevent uncontrolled capital expansion has devastated industries like internet giants, tutoring services, and private hospitals. Private investments have collapsed, and business owners have either laid flat or fled overseas. The gaps left behind cannot be filled by state-owned enterprises, which rely on monopolies and government subsidies to survive. International decoupling is also accelerating. Foreign companies are pulling out, and European and American orders are moving elsewhere. Factories in the Pearl River and Yangtze River deltas are closing in large numbers, and has become routine for factory owners to abscond with funds. Workers, once toiling on assembly lines, now find their factory gates locked, their wages gone, and they are left protesting outside in vain. The tragedy of migrant workers demanding unpaid wages is a raw, bloody wound exposed by the overall collapse of China's economy. In a system where the ruling class only cares about maintaining power and control, concern for the people at the bottom is always empty rhetoric. As long as the core issues remain unresolved, migrant workers forced to demand their pay illegally will continue to bear the brunt of this political disaster, becoming the most innocent victims of a grand political farce.
When it comes to maintaining prostate and breast health, you deserve a proactive approach, one that supports wellness from within. Introducing Best Doctors WBM Rex, your natural supplement to support prostate and breast health, boost immune function, and enhance overall wellness. Packed with powerful ingredients like white button mushrooms, noto ginseng, and antioxidants, WBM Rex helps maintain healthy PSA levels, reduces inflammation, and supports cellular health in the prostate and breast. With added energy-boosting Panax noto ginseng and immune-boosting beta-glucans, WBM Rex helps you stay active, healthy, and full of vitality. Clinically backed and made with plant-based ingredients, WBM Rex is your go-to solution for long-term wellness and balance. Gift the joy of health this Christmas with WBM Rex, because the well-being of your loved ones matters. And don't forget, use our special discount code CO2025 at checkout to get 20% off your order, exclusively for our China Observer viewers.